Dance Company was conceptualized as a company for very committed, passionate dancers who wanted to remain here and have a platform to study dance and to perform. They've been doing so, celebrating 30 years last year, and this year they continue to celebrate, and we have the Paths of Possibility as the next step forward, happening this coming weekend, the 12th and 13th of April at the National Academy for the Performing Arts. And we welcome the Artistic Director of Metamorphosis, Nancy Herrera, and Azara Hussain, who is the Rehearsal Director. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
How are we doing this morning?
Very well.
Nancy, let me ask you, first of all, after celebrating 30 years, how do you conceptualize moving forward after that? What's next?
Well, exactly that. There's so many paths that you could travel, so many paths you could take. So let's see where they all lead. You know, you could be the path of the dancer, path of the choreographer, the fusion of styles, the exploration, new possibilities of performance.
How do you channel that into creating pieces or charging the choreographers with creating pieces based on that?
Well, right now, what you're seeing is very exciting. A lot of choreographers who are secure in a particular practice or a particular technique taking risks. So you have someone like Matthew McLean, who is known for hip-hop, blurring the edges and combining it with our strength is ballet and contemporary dance, and taking hip-hop into the theater. Like with Zidan Rupnarayan, who had started his experiment in classical Indian and classical ballet and classical, the fusion of dances. And he is actually in China now, but he is seeing where classical Indian can go.
Right.
And then, of course, we've always had Bridget Wilson, who is an excellent choreographer, who's always been very creative and taking forms all over. She draws her, she's very much based in the theater and pushing the bounds of movement and choreography. And then Terry, who is also mixing Caribbean folk forms and Latin folk forms with contemporary dance. So right now in this season, you're certainly seeing the choreography going, and by extension, the dancers will be pushed in that direction.
Yeah. Azara, in terms of rehearsing all these mixtures of dancing and the different innovations that are happening, how difficult is it on the dancers, for starters?
Well, first of all, it's about 16 of us in the company right now who dance, so obviously it's not a huge number to work with. So as we see, a lot of dancers are in multiple pieces. And, you know, the pieces are very high intensity, but with the training we get, we obviously trained for this. It's definitely not an easy task, but we love to do it, and it's the passion that really pushes us through all that tiredness.
Tell me about your role as rehearsal director. What does that mean?
Well, as rehearsal director, it's basically overseeing all the rehearsals in the company, ensuring that all the choreographers have enough time to mount their pieces and rehearse it with the dancers to ensure that everybody is stage ready in time. And it's not just as simple as sending a message saying, hey, we have rehearsal today. We have to make sure the time allotted is enough, and the clashes, they don't clash with people, the dancers, the pieces that they're in, so they're not having a rehearsal day from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. dancing straight. So it's a lot to take into consideration.
How much do you have to cater for dancers when it comes to the physical needs, in terms of, like you just mentioned, not too long of a dance rehearsal, but in terms of how strenuous it is? Do the choreographers take that into consideration, or is that something you have to take into consideration?
A little bit of both, a little bit of both. But as I said, a lot of dancers are in multiple pieces, so it's kind of difficult to get a long break, but that's what we're trained for. We go for long periods of time with short breaks. I guess it's kind of like football players.
I guess. Yeah, it's a show you put it on.
Yeah, but dancers, we have a different kind of energy. We have to channel.
Yes, because of course you're using your entire body when you dance as well. Nancy, in terms of this show in particular, where do we get tickets for it? How much do they cost? And tell me the start times one time.
Okay, so the tickets are available at Napa box office. Remember, cash only at the box office.
Right.
And the shows are Saturday the 12th at 7 p.m. and Sunday the 13th at 6 p.m. We always start our shows on time, so don't come late. It actually says late comers will be accommodated at an intermission, interval.
So in between the pieces.
It's really hard to... when you're in a live performance, for somebody to be in the dark, clop through to try and find a seat. So that's why, you know, people will be let in a break between one dance and the other.
No, nobody coming late. Everybody coming
Right,
before the
we
show starts. So
positive
you don't matter
thinking
worry about it.
nobody-
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it.
And how much
Tickets-
do they cost?
Only 200.
Okay. And that's for both days?
Yes, and it's the same show both nights.
Okay.
Same.
All right, nice. Azara, when it comes to the rehearsals that happen at Napa, have you all gone to Napa as yet?
Not yet. We'll be there on Thursday.
Tell me what that process is like, because a lot of people don't realize how much work actually goes into it. So how long have you been rehearsing the show? Let's start there, and then let's talk about what happens when you get into Napa to rehearse.
Well, we've been rehearsing this show since when? Summer last year? September,
summer? You mean
October.
Java?
Java. September probably last year, so
Right.
it's been a couple of months. And ever since then, we've been in Caribbean School of Dance rehearsing. From Thursday, we'll go into our tech rehearsals
Right.
and then dress rehearsal on Friday. The tech rehearsals take a lot of time because obviously in a studio, we don't have lighting, we don't have as big, huge of a stage as Napa. So we have to space out all of the pieces, each individual piece. There's 10 pieces in the show. We have to organize the lighting for each, you know, it's obviously not one lighting for the whole piece. So it's like that, about an hour for each piece. So it's a long day, long days and
An
long
hour
nights.
for each, you mean an hour to rehearse?
Hour to
tech.
tech.
To tech each
yes.
piece.
tech
Okay.
each piece.
Yes.
In terms of the music that you'll dance to, I always notice, and I'm very intrigued by the music, because it tends to be these hugely dramatic pieces of instrumental music. Is that what motivates you to keep going as a dancer, or do you prefer more familiar music that you could sing along to while you're dancing?
Personally, I think I'm able to channel my emotions more with those dramatic music or instrumental. Because it doesn't have to be very dramatic. It could be mellow, but at the same time, it depends on the feeling, the mood of the piece, what the choreographer wants the dancers to feel, and it's all about what that motive is that promotes us to, you know, feel that emotion and show it in our dancing.
Do you have to do a lot of work to encourage the dancers to go to that place of the emotion?
Honestly, no. I think all of the dancers have that passion in them, and they channel their own inner experiences that pushes them to, you know.
Nancy, what makes you decide on inviting somebody to be a part of the dance company versus being just in the school?
The dancers from the more passionate and more technically competent dancers from Caribbean School of Dancing, that is our base.
Right.
Right? Are invited into the school based on how we see their commitment and how they respond to the whole environment of dance and so.
For people who may not understand, tell me the difference between the school and the dance company.
Well, this Caribbean School of Dancing is nearly, you know, it's an institution which you start when you are 4 years old and you go right through until you
Right.
leave. Right? Whatever age that might be, some people never leave. But the dance company is as a professional dance company as we can have in Trinidad, drawing on the more talented, more senior, competent, passionate dancers of the school.
So it's
you
like
have
the
to come
difference
through
between
the school.
primary school, secondary school, and then tertiary is when you reach the dance.
And then in tertiary, then we invite in you.
Nice.
This is like the, you know, this is like
creme de la creme.
Yes.
Yeah?
These are the contracted footballers.
Ah, okay, the ones who get any big salary.
Yeah.
Nice, good. So ladies
Without
and
the
gentlemen,
money.
it's happening this coming weekend, Saturday and Sunday at the National Academy for the Performing Arts, kicking off at 7 p.m. on Saturday, 6 p.m. on Sunday. You can get your tickets for just $200 at Napa box office or from Caribbean School of Dance, yes?
Yes.
All right, ladies, let me thank you very much for joining us
Thank
this
you for
morning.
having
Thank
us.
you.
Not a problem at all.
We look
I
forward
want
to
to
it.
encourage each and every one of you to go out there and make a difference today now, because together we aspire, and if together we perspire, then together we most definitely can achieve. On behalf of Ayanka Will, Natasha Lake, and the entire team here at TTT, I'm Marcus.